Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today we're going to be checking out the 4-4-2, doing a little updated tactic video for this formation. It's been a while since we've played with it. Apologies for the lack of uploads the last couple of days, and I don't know if you can tell already today, like I've been feeling really ill the last couple of days, and yeah, it's been tough. But today I thought, you know what, I don't want to do 3 days without a video, so I'm dragging myself out to try and make a video for you guys. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it today. So the 4-4-2 is a great formation in FIFA. It's been one of the best formations in FIFA for the last couple of years, and I think for me it is most effective when it's used in like a pressing. I think it's one of the most difficult formations to play against when somebody's playing a press. So in terms of the tactics that we're playing, these are what I generally like to play when it comes to the 4-4-2. So I'm playing on pressure on heavy touch. Now the reason why I'm playing on pressure on heavy touch, you can play pressure on possession loss if that's something that you prefer. I just find for me that especially in the 4-4-2, you know, not having DMs and generally playing quite attacking, it can be a little bit too exposed for what I like. You know, I just find that ends up being a bit too exposed versus how many chances it creates. So the heavy touch just allows the press in certain scenarios. Width, pretty much the standard stuff on around about 50, the depth up to 60 again. When you're playing on a press, you like to play generally on a higher depth. You know, there's no point playing a press if you're only going to play on 40 depth, for example, because your players start from too deep. So by the time they get up the pitch to press, you know, they've run out of energy. So you have to generally start quite high when you're looking to do a press. So 60 works for this formation. I found when I've gone higher to sort of 70, 75, it's too open. I think that's because you don't have DMs, and generally it's set up quite attacking with the way we set it up as well. I just think that 60 is the perfect number. The build-up play, we've gone for a long ball. I think it works really well in this formation. I don't think fast build-up or even slow build-up is that effective in this formation, especially fast build-up. I think generally works when you've got DMs and cams to link between the back and the front. Obviously in a flat 4-4-2 you don't have that, so I think long ball works really well, just letting the strikers and the wide midfielders run in behind, utilizing obviously the speed in which that you'll have in those positions. So long ball I think generally is the way to go. In chance creation, I didn't really like any of the chance creations. I didn't really like possession, I didn't like the forward runs, and the direct passing was effective in terms of creating chances, but when you pair direct passing with a press, it becomes just far too open and it becomes way too easy, especially if you're playing against like a decent level player. It becomes way too easy for them to kind of pick the gaps and pick the space. So I find that when you pair those two together, it just doesn't quite work. So I just left it on balance, and I still created a lot of chances, and it did still give me that ability to control games that I like, but I was still able to create many chances and score plenty of goals. In terms of the width, we've gone for around about 60. Want to utilize obviously the width in the formation. Obviously with those wide midfielders, it is quite difficult to get them involved in terms of goal scoring. It's not difficult to get them involved in terms of the build up and the general forward play, but it's very difficult to get them in goal scoring positions because their starting position is so deep, because their starting position is deep and it's out wide. It's difficult to get them involved in the game. But so to get them involved, you don't want them to be too wide. I don't really want them to be stuck on sort of like, you know, 80 or 90 width, because that also opens up the midfield as well, and then not having a DM to kind of plug that gap, it just doesn't work. So I think you need to keep the width quite narrow, around about 60. I think works very well. And then players in the box on 6, corners on 1, and free kicks on 1 as well. In terms of the instructions, Van der Sar is, as he always is with us, it comes for crosses and sweep keeper. In terms of the fullbacks, the rule for me generally when it comes to fullbacks is if you have width in front of the fullbacks, I don't think you need to send them forward. I think it's much better to have that back four as that sort of solid foundation to build off. Obviously, the way a lot of people like to play the game is sort of bang through balls, chip through balls over the top. So I'd prefer in a formation like this, when I can, to have my fullbacks on stay back while attacking. For example, in the 5-2-1-2 that I play, there's no width in front of the wing backs. They have to provide the width, so I have to let them go forwards. Whereas in this formation, we have the width with the left and right midfielders with Pulisic and Messi. We have the width, so we can afford to have these guys on stay back while attacking, which obviously gives us that solid foundation in defence that in some other formations is definitely lacking. In terms of the two midfielders, these are two very good midfielders to use. Obviously, we've got Kante and Vieira in that midfield spot. Two great midfielders. Now I'm playing with them on balance, and I think this is the way you have to play with them. But we have the option to drop them both to stay back while attacking. If you find that it's a little bit too aggro and a little bit too aggressive, then definitely drop these guys on stay back while attacking. But then you'll need to have midfielders that can obviously defend a little bit. But at the moment, I find balance works well because, especially with the players we've got, you know, they can obviously snuff out counter attacks and whatnot. They're very good at intercepting. Their positioning is very good. So generally, they're quite good if I do get countered. These two guys obviously are very good at stopping those potential counter attacks. And especially Vieira, he's actually surprisingly decent, I found, going forwards, especially sort of slipping through balls through to Cantona and Sanchez up top. So these two in midfield are very, very important. You need guys that have got good stamina as well, because when you're going to be pressing, your midfield's going to be doing most of the running. So there's some key things that you need for your midfielders. In terms of Pulisic and Messi, both these guys we've got on balanced width. The reason why I've got them on balanced width is because I don't really want them to go cut inside, because I just think then everything becomes too narrow. And when we don't have the fullbacks going forwards, everything's just going to become quite congested in the midfield. And it just becomes very, very, one, difficult for you to attack, but two, very easy for your opponent to defend, because then every time you get the ball, you're going to pass it inside. It becomes very, very easy to read, very, very predictable. So by having these guys on balanced width, it allows you to still have that option with someone like Vieira, let's say, is he has the option to play it out to Florenzi, play it out to Messi, play it up to Sanchez, play it inside to Kante. He has many, many options, rather than if Messi is on cut inside, for example, you know, the pass is always going to be on the inside, so it can become very, very predictable. And obviously to get forwards on getting behind and get into the box for crosses as well. Just when they do drift forward, when we are dominating the game, naturally your team pushes up a little bit higher. And then obviously players like Pulisic and Messi now can get a little bit more involved and potential goal scoring opportunities. And then in terms of the two strikers, we've got Cantona and Sanchez. I am really not a fan of this Cantona at all. I just, for some reason for me, he just doesn't seem to work. I know other people like him. I played about, I don't know, 70 or 80 games of this Cantona. I just don't think he's very good. I've tried him at striker, tried him at cam, tried him at midfield, tried him in lots of different positions, you know, lots of different formations. I just can't seem to get him into anything I like. Generally, I sub him off for Chiesa, and Chiesa does a great job up front. But generally, these two strikers, you need obviously a bit of pace. Obviously, again, you need guys that have obviously got good shooting, generally got good stamina as well, because again, they're going to be doing a lot of the pressing from the front, and obviously going to be making a lot of runs in behind with the getting behind instruction, but also with the long ball, they're going to be doing lots of running in behind. So you need guys that obviously have got good stamina to potentially, or if they haven't got good stamina, you need to have good subs to be able to bring on in these positions. But that is it for my 4-4-2 custom tactics. That's what I use when I do use the 4-4-2, whether that be in draft, very, very occasionally if I switch into different formations. But as I said, we obviously like to try out different formations, and these are the instructions and tactics that I would recommend. Overall, a good formation. I think it's very good for certain situations. I wouldn't personally say it's one of my favorite formations. I think it's a good formation, but I wouldn't personally say it's one of my go-to formations, irrespective of the tactics and instructions. I'm not a huge fan of 4-4-2. I think it's decent, but like I said, it's not one of my personal favorites. So if you do want to try this out, though, try it with these tactics and instructions. Let me know how it went for you. It did go very, very well for me. I did win. I think I played about 14 games of this formation and tactics, and I won like 12 of them. So it was very, very successful. Overall, it just wasn't one of my personal favorites. That doesn't mean it wasn't good. So that is it for today's video, guys. So if you did enjoy, do drop a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.